All right, so today we're diving into the future, huh? A future with artificial superintelligence.
ASI, yeah.
ASI, exactly. And the big question we're tackling is, will we get there? Will we reach ASI before 2037? It's a date we keep hearing.
Yeah, a lot of experts are pointing to that year.
To help us unpack all this, you've brought us two sources. First, we have OpenAI's announcement of their new model. It's called O3, right?
That's right, O3.
And then we also have a video analysis that kind of walks us through the different stages of AI, starting with AGI and then going all the way to the singularity.
It's a pretty wild ride, from AGI to the singularity.
Buckle up, folks. This is where things get really mind-bending.
Yeah, and I think you'll be especially fascinated by what OpenAI is saying about O3. They're actually claiming it's achieved AGI, artificial general intelligence.
Okay, whoa. AGI, ASI. Can we just back up for a second? For those of us who aren't, AI experts, what do those terms even mean? What are we talking about here?
Sure, so AGI, or artificial general intelligence, is basically AI that can do most of the economically valuable work that humans do, and at a human level, or even better.
So, like what? Give me some examples.
Think problem solving, learning, adapting, things we used to think were unique to humans.
Okay, right. We always thought those were our special skills.
Exactly. And then ASI, or artificial superintelligence, that's the next level. It's still hypothetical for now, but it basically refers to AI that's smarter than humans in pretty much every way imaginable.
So OpenAI is saying their O3 model is already at that AGI level. Really?
Yeah, it's a bold claim, but they do present some pretty interesting evidence in their announcement.
Like what kind of evidence are we talking about?
For one thing, O3 actually beat human experts at some pretty complex coding tasks. It also got near perfect scores on some really tough math benchmarks. And get this, it even outperformed OpenAI's own chief scientist.
Whoa, that's impressive. Beating the experts at their own game. But, I mean, is that really enough to say it's AGI? I feel like true AGI would need to be more than just good at a few specific tasks, right?
You're absolutely right. To be considered true AGI, it needs to be able to learn and adapt to brand new situations. And this is where things get really interesting.
Oh, I'm listening.
O3 was put through the ARC AGI benchmark. And it's a test that's specifically designed to see if an AI can learn new skills on the fly. It's actually really hard for AI to do well on this test, but O3 aced it.
So it's not just following instructions that were programmed into it. It's actually figuring things out, problem solving, in a way that's similar to how we think.
That's what it looks like. And, this ability to be flexible and learn new things, that's long been considered a key characteristic of AGI.
Okay, I'm starting to see why everyone's making such a big deal about this O3 thing. But hold on, there's more, right? You mentioned something about an O3 Mini.
Right. So alongside O3, they also unveiled O3 Mini. Yeah, it's a more cost-effective version. It's mainly focused on reasoning.
Interesting. So what's the difference?
Well, it's designed to be faster and more accessible, which means a lot more developers and companies could potentially use it, not just the big players.
So we're not just talking about, like, Google and Microsoft anymore.
Exactly. Imagine smaller businesses, startups, even individuals, all having access to this powerful reasoning technology. The possibilities are huge.
It does feel like a game changer.
Yeah, it is. But it also makes you wonder about the timeline for ASI, that superintelligence we were talking about before.
Right, the AI, that's not just smart, but, like, way smarter than us humans in every way. And the video you sent, it predicts we could get there, hit that ASI milestone as early as 2035.
It's like 2035. That's what, just over a decade away?
It does seem pretty soon.
It does.
But that prediction, it's based on this idea of an intelligence explosion.
Okay, intelligence explosion. I think I've heard of that, but explain it to me like I'm 5. Sure. So basically the idea is that once AI gets advanced enough, like maybe at the AGI level, it can start improving itself really, really fast.
Yeah.
And that leads to this, exponential growth in its intelligence.
So it's not just like a slow and steady progress. It's more like AI suddenly becoming super smart, super fast.
Exactly. It's bootstrapping itself.
Bootstrapping.
Yeah, becoming smarter and smarter at an accelerating pace.
That's kind of freaky, to be honest.
Yeah, it's definitely both fascinating and a little unnerving.
A little bit. I mean, just think about all the technological advancements we've seen in just the past few years.
Yeah.
Now imagine that rate of change, but like on steroids. And it's all driven by this AI that's constantly learning and evolving.
Yeah, constantly evolving. It's hard to even picture what that future would look like. And that actually brings us to another term that pops up all the time in these conversations, the singularity.
Right, the singularity. Can you remind us what that is again?
Yeah, the singularity. It's this hypothetical point in time when AI becomes so intelligent that it basically changes the course of human history.
In ways we can't even imagine.
Yeah, like completely unpredictable.
So it's like what's the word? Like a technological event horizon. We can't see past it because everything changes so drastically.
That's a great way to put it. And, Ray Kurzweil, the
Yeah,
futurist,
I know recurs why.
he believes the singularity will happen around 2045.
2045.
And he bases that on this thing he calls the law of accelerating returns. Basically, the idea is that technological progress is always speeding up.
Okay, so that's not that far off from that 2035 prediction for ASI.
Hmm.
It seems like a lot of these experts think we're on the fast track to some pretty big changes.
Yeah, I think they do.
But before we get too carried away with all these predictions, let's talk about what this could actually mean for us, for humanity. Like, what are the potential benefits? What are the risks of having this kind of super advanced AI around?
Right, right. It's important to look at both sides. Let's start with the good stuff, the potential benefits. I mean, ASI could revolutionize so many fields. Medicine, energy, transportation, even space exploration.
Wow.
Think about cures for diseases, solutions to climate change.
Yeah.
The level of technological advancement we could see, it's mind-boggling.
It really is. It's like we're talking about having a genie in a bottle that can grant all our wishes.
Yeah, like a genie.
But even genies, they can have unintended consequences.
Right, precisely. And that brings us to the risks.
Okay, the risks.
One of the big ones, probably the biggest one, is the control problem.
Control problem. Okay, that doesn't sound good.
No, not really. So it's basically the challenge of making sure that this super intelligent AI, even though it's way smarter than us, still aligns with human goals and values.
Yeah.
How do we control something that's, by definition, smarter than we are in every way?
Yeah, that is kind of terrifying when you think about it. It like makes me think of those sci-fi movies where the robots become self-aware and turn against humanity.
Yes.
Terminator, but in real life.
Right, yeah. I mean, those scenarios might seem far-fetched, but they do highlight the very real concerns that researchers are trying to deal with.
Okay, so what are they doing about it? How do you even begin to control something that's potentially so much smarter than us?
Well, one area of research is focusing on value alignment.
Value alignment.
It's about designing AI systems that actually understand and prioritize human values. Things like empathy, compassion, respecting human life.
But how do you program something like empathy into a machine? That's not like writing a line of code, right?
No, it's definitely not. And that's one of the biggest challenges here. Researchers are looking at all sorts of different approaches, including something called inverse reinforcement learning.
Inverse reinforcement learning?
Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast. But basically, it's a way for AI to learn values by observing how humans behave.
So like it's watching us and trying to figure out what's important to us based on our actions and decisions.
Exactly.
That's a little creepy, but also kind of cool.
Yeah, like teaching a kid right from wrong by being a good example.
Okay, I get it. But even if we can get AI to share our values, isn't there still a chance that it could, like, outsmart us, find loopholes in its programming?
Yeah, that's a valid concern. And that's why researchers are also looking at things like bounded goals.
Bounded goals, what does that mean?
It means limiting what the AI is allowed to do, limiting the scope of its objectives, to keep it from setting these really broad goals that could backfire.
So instead of telling it, solve climate change, which could have all sorts of unforeseen consequences,
Right.
you'd give it a very specific task, like design a system to capture carbon from the atmosphere.
Exactly. You give it a lane to stay in.
A lane.
Yeah. But even with all these safeguards, this whole control problem is still a massive challenge.
Yeah.
And some experts even think we need completely new ways of thinking about AI safety and control.
It does feel like we're in uncharted territory here. No map, no guidebook.
Yeah. It's a field that's constantly changing. We need to constantly be innovating and collaborating to keep up. And it's not just about the technical stuff,
Yeah.
We also have to consider the ethical and societal implications.
Right, absolutely. We can't just focus on how to create ASI. We also have to think about why we're doing it and if we should be doing it at all.
Exactly.
What kind of future are we building and what do we want AI's role to be in that future?
It's interesting, right? We talk about this future where AI is changing everything, but it's still kind of hard to picture what that actually looks like.
Yeah, it can be.
So let's try to make it a bit more concrete. Let's start with something like work.
Yeah.
How could ASI actually change the way we work?
Well, it's a question that makes a lot of people nervous. And I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, if AI can really do most of the jobs that humans do, And better, like the definition of AGI suggests, what happens to all the workers?
Right. It's not just robots on assembly lines anymore.
No, not at all. We're talking about AI that could potentially disrupt fields like law, medicine,
Yeah.
even software development. So what happens to human jobs in that scenario?
Some experts think ASI could lead to, like, mass unemployment
Oh, wow.
because machines would just become so much more efficient and cheaper than human workers.
That's a pretty grim outlook.
It is.
Is there a more optimistic way to look at it?
Well, there are definitely people who argue that ASI could actually create a whole bunch of new industries and jobs that we can't even imagine right now.
Okay.
Kind of like how the internet completely changed the way we work and live.
Yeah, that's true.
ASI could be like that, a whole new paradigm shift.
So it's not necessarily a battle of humans versus machines.
Right.
It's more like humans and machines working together, but in totally new ways.
Yeah, exactly. We could leverage the strengths of both.
Okay.
Like, AI might be awesome at analyzing data and crunching numbers,
Uh-huh.
but humans are still better at things like creativity, empathy, critical thinking.
So it sounds like we need to be thinking about how to adapt, how to learn new skills for this future with ASI,
Yeah,
instead of just being afraid of it.
exactly. Adaptation is key.
But it's not just the job market that's going to be impacted, right? I mean, ASI could change our personal lives or relationships too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, just imagine you could have AI companions,
Companions.
yeah, that are designed to provide, like, emotional support, or AI systems that help us navigate, all the complexities of social interactions.
That's pretty wild.
It is, and these technologies could completely change how we connect with each other, for better or worse.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it sounds amazing to have a companion who really gets you, who can offer comfort and advice.
I know, right?
But on the other hand, if we start relying too much on AI for emotional support, couldn't that actually lead to more isolation? Less real human connection?
That's definitely something to watch out for.
Yeah.
We need to make sure we're using these technologies in ways that actually strengthen human connection, not replace it.
Okay, so don't trade in your friends for a robot therapist just yet.
Uh-huh, exactly. We have to remember that technology is a tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or bad. It really all comes down to the choices we make.
Right. But this whole conversation about AI, companions, and superintelligence, it brings up a really fundamental question.
Yeah.
What does ASI mean for what it means to be human?
Wow, that's a big one.
It is, right.
Yeah.
If AI can be conscious, if it can experience emotions, form relationships, what makes us different?
Yeah.
Does intelligence alone define what it means to be human?
I mean, it really makes you question everything, doesn't it? It forces us to confront some really deep questions about our own nature.
Absolutely.
Some philosophers think consciousness is just something that emerges from complex systems,
Uh-huh.
which means AI could potentially become conscious as it gets more and more advanced.
Whoa. So we might not be the only conscious beings in the universe.
It's a possibility.
That's both exciting and a little scary.
I know.
And it also raises some ethical questions about how we treat these AI entities, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if they're conscious, do they deserve rights? Do we have responsibilities towards them?
Those are tough questions. We're in uncharted territory, and there are no easy answers.
It sounds like ASI is going to force us to reevaluate our place in the universe, to really grapple with these big philosophical questions about consciousness, identity, the meaning of life.
It's a lot to take in,
It really is.
but it's a conversation we need to have,
Yeah.
especially as we move into this new age of AI. We have to approach it with both curiosity and caution.
Well, you've given us a lot to think about today. We've explored AGI, ASI, the singularity, and even some pretty deep philosophical questions about what it means to be human in a world where AI is becoming more and more advanced.
It's been a wild ride.
It really has. And even though I don't have all the answers, hopefully this deep dive has sparked some curiosity, giving you some new ways to think about this whole AI thing.
I hope so. It's such a fascinating, rapidly evolving field.
It really is. And that's what we love to do here on the deep dive.
Mhm.
Help you explore complex topics, make you go, never thought about it that way before. But before we wrap up, let's come back to that question we started with.
Okay.
Will we reach ASI before 2037? Based on everything we've learned today about O3, the idea of this intelligence explosion, the predictions from people like Ray Kurzweil, it definitely seems possible. Maybe even likely that ASI could be here sooner than we think.
I think that's fair to say. The progress in AI is happening so fast.
Yeah.
And the things that models like O3 can do, it really does feel like we're entering a whole new era of intelligence.
An era that could change everything.
Yeah.
And that brings us to our final thought for you today.
All right.
We've talked about the good and the bad, the benefits and the risks of ASI. But ultimately, the future of AI is up to us.
It is.
We get to decide what kind of future we want to create. So as you go about your day, think about this. What do you want AI to do in your life? What kind of world you want to see as this technology keeps getting more and more powerful? This isn't just about lines of code and algorithms. It's about our values, our hopes, our dreams for the future. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and until next time, keep exploring.